Welcome to Friday 15 with Master B2B. My name is Brian Beck. I'm here with Andy Hoare, my partner in this crazy, wild community of B2B e-commerce pros. They're all crazy and wild, right, Andy? Aren't they?
I don't really think of crazy and wild when I think of B2B, but we'll go with it for now.
All right. Well, welcome, everyone. It is Friday the 13th, everybody. That was spooky music, Andy.
I was wondering if that was a technical mistake. I was thinking, wait a minute, I have to do the whole thing myself.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, wait a minute, it's Brian being funny.
You were looking at me kind of funny, like, what is going on? Yeah, I'm all about sound effects today. Right, here we go. The crowd is
laughing. Apparently you're on laugh track.
That's right. All right, everyone, we got a lot to cover today. That's right. Lots to cover, but let's start with some breaking news. Andy, you are in Chicago. Well, you're always in Chicago, but you were in Chicago downtown on Wednesday this week for a Master B2B Executive Roundtable with an incredible group. Who was there?
Yeah, near the top of the Willis Tower there. So we put our drone out, and our drone took that amazing stock photo there. No, it was an absolutely fantastic event. I mean, we're really getting a lot of traction with these. I mean, we had the elite of Chicago there. We had the Zorros, the Grangers, the Brady Pluses of the world. CDW was there. Legrand was there. Looking at the list here, Univar, several multi-billion-dollar companies, and then several kind of mid-sized companies too. And I love putting those two groups together because they can learn from each other.
Sure.
And in terms of learning from each other, we tried something a little bit different this time, where we allowed sort of the folks to talk more interactively about their priorities for 2025. It's not that we allowed it, but we encouraged it. Right. And my God, was that amazing. I mean, for 20, 30 minutes, they were all sharing ideas, comparing notes, talking about their respective, strategies for digital. And I walked away, as many people there did, saying, wow, this is priceless. Getting these people in the same room and getting them on a great event. Looking forward to New York next week, where hopefully the same magic will take place.
Yeah, we got a great group signed up for that roundtable as well. We're doing a lot of these through the fall. And, it really gets us our finger on the pulse, Andy, of what the industry is talking about. These are VPs of e-commerce, chief digital officers, CMOs, directors of e-com, sitting down in a room talking about what's important to them. We're talking about digital experience. I know data came up, PIM came up quite a bit from what you told me. So, yeah, we're excited about New York, and then we've got Atlanta and Dallas after that. So going to be a good series here. Andy, I don't know if you saw this breaking news. MDM forecast 2024, now their forecasting is going to be up later in the year, followed by a much better 2025. I think it's maybe some of the economy, some of the clarity, maybe that's the helping, once we get past the election, things like that. But, we've seen stories in MDM about, particularly large distributors. MDM covers, a lot of the distribution market in industrial channels and others. And they've had some stories recently about companies that haven't been, doing as well, even in e-commerce, with sales down and such. But this is encouraging to see. Any reactions?
My take on this is, who knows? I mean, honestly, I'd love to be able to say, we're not economists, but we read a lot about what the economists saying. And 1 week we're in a recession, we just don't know it. The next week the recession's coming, and it's going to be steep. The next week it's, we're going to have a soft landing. I don't think anybody really knows. But what's interesting about this is people still have to make plans. And so MDM's talking to the distributors saying, where are you putting your money? So I tend to go with what these guys are saying a bit more than what even the economists are saying, because these guys have to make bets. The economists don't. It's like the old joke, on the one hand, on the other hand, economists can be on all sides of the same issue.
And we're entering budget season now, where a lot of companies are planning their 2025 budgets. They do that typically in the fall. And so it's going to be interesting, they're taking this in and thinking more bullishly about what's going to happen next year. So our topic, we need to get to that today, is great UI, UX, that's user interface, user experience, design necessary in B2B e-commerce. Is it that great is necessary, or is good enough when you're rolling out a B2B e-commerce or other digital experience. Andy, this is a great topic and one that's close to my heart. For many years, I was as a VP of e-commerce. The UI on the consumer side, which is where I was living, was critical, and the data proves out how important this is. The experience you give to your customer in a digital commerce, journey. We went to the authority on all things now, Chat GPT, right? If you all didn't know that, AI is now the authority in our lives. But we asked Chat GPT for a definition of great UI UX design, and here is what Chat GPT said. Great UI UX design in e-commerce is about creating a seamless, intuitive, and engaging experience that effectively guides users through the shopping process, enhancing satisfaction while driving conversion. It balances aesthetics with functionality, ensuring design not only looks appealing, but is also easy to navigate and use. That's the definition. Now, and in my book, Andy, I talked a lot about eliminating friction in B2B being a key measure of success for e-commerce by manufacturers, distributors. So I think Chat GPT's definition in some ways reflects that. But we've got this situation where companies that do this well on the consumer side reap the benefits. Forrester said websites with well-designed user interfaces can increase conversion rates by as much as 200%. And I've experienced this. I've lived this. The consumer side, we improve our UX, we get higher conversion rates. But B2B, oh my gosh, 60% of B2B websites were found by a study this year by Logic.io to deliver a generally negative experience. Okay. So we're not delivering a positive experience. That certainly means our UI UX is not functioning very well. In fact, Amazon Web Services also found that e-commerce companies that are compromising on user experience, not meeting standards, meeting best practices, are missing out on 35% of their potential web sales. Okay, so we got companies in B2B not meeting the standards. Clearly there's a conversion rate benefit. The question is good enough? So Andy, I asked ChatGPT, hey, give me the best example. What's the best example of user experience design in consumer? Well, guess what showed up? The Apple, right? The Apple Store, right? They're well known apparently as being one of the best. And I, firsthand know this because we used to look at competitors, including companies like Apple, for inspiration on user experience design. Apple is known as the best, right? So it's a clean design. There's a whole series of things they do well, get you your product quickly. They have product navigation and configurations and really guiding the customer to what they need. So, I don't know. You're not an Apple customer though, Andy, are you?
I'm an Android guy, but what's interesting about this is it did occur to me when you said you asked ChatGPT for the best site. ChatGPT is actually owned by Microsoft, which is a rival of
Right.
Apple in a way. And so I was wondering if ChatGPT is going to get fired by Microsoft. That was one comment. The other comment is, you seem to be talking to ChatGPT quite a bit. Are you asking ChatGPT for a relationship, fashion advice, health advice?
Right.
I mean,
clearly not fashion advice.
I'm starting to get a little concerned that, every time there's a question, you go to ChatGPT. That said, you may just be ahead of the rest of us because it's probably where it's all going. So back to this. So yeah, I mean, Apple inarguably is a great website, but here's the problem. Yes, higher conversion rates for great UI UX, so on and so forth, but do B2B companies have the resources, the time, and the budget to invest in it? And frankly, do they have the appetite for it? Because great UI UX design is like great athletics or great music. If you want to be great, to be 99 to 99.999 is a order of magnitude leap. And so this is really the question. Right. Are you willing and able to invest that? And I don't find many B2B companies are willing to do that. Well, because it's time and data intensive, right. It's resource intensive. So yes, great is better than good, but it is a question about whether great is substantially better than good to make good just not good enough.
Well, it's really about the effectiveness of the channel. Period. Is it worth it? do you need to invest to the level of an Apple, or even a not Apple, not a company necessarily as big as Apple with deep pockets, but do you need to emulate that kind of a user experience in B2B e-commerce? And
Well,
is it
and
going to
it's
pay dividends?
Yeah, well, and it's worth noting too that B2B buyers are different from B2C buyers. We're looking at the Apple site here, and I'm thinking, wow, it's visual eye candy, it's elegant, it's beautiful. Most B2B buyers don't care about that really. Now, that's not an excuse for a bad experience, but a lot of B2B buyers are very efficient. They're hunter-like. They go in, they enter a part number, they get out. Again,
Yep.
not an excuse for having a green screen with a blinking cursor that says enter order here,
Right.
but seeing all this stuff, these great images, 360 views, videos, actually can be an impediment to an efficient buying experience. So you've got those two things. Do B2B companies really have the time, money, and energy to invest in it? And two, do B2B buyers on the other side fully appreciate it? Those are the open questions.
Yeah. So we asked our LinkedIn audience about this, and we got some interesting feedback. So Eric Nebbia, who's the senior director of digital at Fortune Brands, he's also, I think he was at Masterlock. He was a direct supply, I think, Andy, right? So
Yeah, he
Eric's
was.
been around this industry in e-commerce for a long time. He said B2B buyers at work are similar to B2C shoppers at home and expect a similar experience. However, there could be switching costs. Number one, switching costs for B2B buyers to choose another website. So let's think about that. He also said, also, B2B buyers likely have direction on what to buy and a budget. So better UX, user experience, may not increase sales. So he said it's, his opinion, it's kind of a pointless investment, getting to the level of great. Any reactions to that?
Well, I think you make a great point that Eric makes a great point about the switching costs. It's not as easy as one click. It's not like you go to Amazon and say, oh, that doesn't work for me. I'll go buy from Walmart.com or Target.com. In B2B, you have contract pricing, right?
Right.
You have certain vendors who only these vendors can provide what you need. So there's vendor lock-in in many cases. Now, again, these are not excuses for companies producing subpar sites, but the
Yeah.
dynamics are different. I think Eric pointed that out here.
I think though, it's interesting, even in that scenario, you know, I've seen just big distributor. I'll leave them nameless because they don't want to embarrass anybody. But one of the largest distributors in the world had a very difficult user experience on their e-com site. It had to do with search and timing of results. Search, it would take minutes. They had millions of products on the site, minutes to get back product results. Minutes. That's not a good. That's not great. It's not good. It's not even acceptable to get product results back. But customers would continue to order from that website because they had to, and it was one of their number one complaints, business wide. I remember I worked with this company, it was 4 or 5 years ago, and so this UX stuff. I mean, you have to get to at least a level of good. But that's Eric's point about switching cost. I mean, some cases people put up with miserable experiences in P2P, right? So, but this is kind of the state of the art today is really about really B2B ordering portals for a lot of companies, particularly manufacturers, where they're just sort of, hey, log in, enter your order number, your part ID, and then we'll order it for you. There's absolutely no sort of baseline user experience from B2C here. And those of you who can see this visually, I just got an example of a customer portal here. And again, kind of the state of the art, but it doesn't have to be this way. And I think, Andy, to your point about, the point, switching costs and things of that nature, the point to capture, it's really about acquisition. I think, I think you can use good or maybe even great UX to capture a customer as they're looking for a new supplier. If you make it easy for them, then you lock them in with your pricing and your, hey, negotiated this and that, and you have an account you've ordered in the past, make it easy for them to reorder. Those kinds of things, I think UX can probably play a role in acquisition. Retention, maybe once you got them, you got them. I don't know. But what's interesting about this is that, we're talking about this really is the B2B at its core is just more complex. You think about things like complex products and huge catalogs and finding products amongst all these technical specifications. You relate that to a consumer site, like a clothing site or an apparel site, where what are your product variants, their size and color.
Yeah.
uh, in a, highly complex, I don't know, whatever, electrical products. You've got compatibility issues, you've got sizing, you've got, does this work with that? What are the technical specifications? What are the power specs? All kinds of different things that you need to think about in terms of product findability. And then you make, if you're making those product specs difficult to find on your site, these are some of the things that make it more difficult in a B2B environment to deliver a great UX, right?
Yeah, I mean, just massive complexity variance here. I mean, like you said, a shirt, small, medium, large, extra large, right? But a fastener, you could have thousands of viable combinations here. And so CPQ really matters, and CPQ is inherently complicated. Imagine for B2C people, think about, buying a laptop and
Right.
all the different variations. And there aren't that many really in the end, but you can get like a different color screen or a different color shell. You can get a size of a screen. You can have this coating and that coating. Imagine that for every item and having tens of thousands of those items. In that case, the elegance of the site doesn't really matter. It's really about the efficiency. So I think the thing that's underdone about B2B is that speed to answer is really critical. It's maybe a metric I just made up. I don't know of anybody who actually measures that, but it should be. And that's why I shudder to think what you said about a site that took minutes, because when you were saying that, I was calculating in my head. The general rule of thumb is that for every 1 second delay in searching a search result, the conversion rate goes down by 7%. So it doesn't even contemplate minutes. I mean, 5 seconds is a 35% decline in conversion rate. I don't even know what 2 minutes would be.
Yeah. My opinion on this, Andy, and we'll see what our audience has to say in our poll, but, my opinion on this is frankly that UI, it's different. It is actually harder, and it's more important. If we think about not so much the design elements, but the elegance by which you get people to the product quickly. It's your speed to answer. Get them to the right product quickly. And it doesn't have to be beautiful in B2B. It has to be fast and efficient. And therein lies the challenge in UX and UI in B2B. I think it's actually more important than B2C, excuse me. I think it has to be great, but I think it has to be great in a different way. That's my personal
Yeah, that's
opinion.
the way to think about it. I like your point. I would add to it. It doesn't have to be beautiful, but it can't be ugly.
Right.
And so that leaves a lot of gray area, and it depends on who your customers are. But I just don't want people to walk away from this saying, oh, Andy and Brian said we don't have to do a great job with our UI UX. No, you have to do a different job that's more focused on getting answers quickly and efficiently, which, by the way, ain't easy either.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah, because UX, it also crosses a lot of touch points in B2B. So it's not only the e-com experience, it's every other aspect of it. You're thinking about post purchase experience, getting your where's my order status, getting support on your product. It's mobile, it's field support. So it really crosses a lot. And kind of who does this well, Andy? Grainger has been held up. I asked ChatGPT or a question about who does it well in B2B, and Grainger was one of the companies that came up. And they have long invested in this channel, several decades at least, in delivering a speed to answer solution. And you can see it on their website. Just look, and you don't need a login to see what they're doing. They're mimicking a lot of B2C best practices, but they've also layered in quite a bit in terms of B2B, the B2B requirements for a buyer to find what they need quickly. So is Grainger's site, if you laid it up against, I don't know, whatever, Tommy Hilfiger's site, or one of the big consumer brands, is it as beautiful? No. Does it need to be? Absolutely not. Is it elegant in different ways? Yes. It gets the customer to their product quickly. That's the thing that matters. That's why Amazon Business is winning business. And new entrants are winning too. Anyhow, any thoughts on Grainger?
No, I agree with that 100%. It's not the prettiest thing to oversee, but it's pretty damn effective. And I think it shows in the numbers. There's work that can be done for sure, But I think they've got a handle on who their customers are. And that's the key to this. The UI UX has to be based on who your customers are. You can't just create a UI UX in the abstract. This is what we declare great. It's going to depend on how customers use your site and what they're looking for. That's the definition of great. What is great for your customers?
That's right. That's absolutely right. And there's best practices that we can adopt, from B2C in B2B. Things like card sorting exercises, customer, focus groups and studies, A/B testing. There are a lot of best practices here that can be adapted, and we can, or adopted. We can go through some of those in one of our other Friday 15s because
I'll just say something quickly that you might find interesting. Is I'm taking a deep dive into search here, and there's a new area or not new area, but there's an emerging area within B2B and search called guided selling, which is where people enter something in the search box and it's pretty clear they don't know exactly what they're looking for. In the past, it would just leave the blinking cursor and you have to figure it out yourself. Now they're parsing that and saying, hey, did you mean this? Are you thinking about that? So the search becomes almost like an intelligent guided browse in a way. And who would have thunk that? But in B2B, that really matters. Not so much in B2C, because where are you guiding somebody? They can just browse and look for themselves. But in B2B, it might be like, oh, are you looking for this fastener in this particular use case for this kind of temperature rating? Things you haven't thought of that addresses some of that complexity.
Absolutely. That's a whole emerging area. And absolutely. Well, we asked our audience, is great UI UX design necessary in B2B e-commerce, or is good enough to be successful? Our LinkedIn audience, Andy, 73% said great is necessary. Interesting. Only 27% said good is good enough. I thought this would go the other way, but no.
I'm not surprised by it because it's aspirational. If we put a price tag and a timeline around it and said, hey, if weight cost you 5 times as much and took you 3 times as long, do you still think it's necessary? I think the numbers might be different.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, again, as usual, we are past our 15 minutes with Friday 15, but let's just a couple quick announcements. Folks, you can download for free our B2B State of B2B e-commerce report for 2024 from our website, masterb2b.com/24-state-of-e-commerce-report. That's for all of our podcast listeners.
Or you can just go to the website and look under, I think, resources, and it's right there. So
thank you, Andy. Much more efficiently said. We do have more roundtables coming in 2024, starting with New York next week, September 18th, all the way through the end of October. We're in LA, Atlanta, Dallas, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Minneapolis, and Denver. We're going to be across the country doing the road trip. We did the concert tour t-shirt, Andy. So go to our website, look at future events. If you are a practitioner, you can sign up. There is no cost to join us. These are 20 to 30 minute discussion, or 20, 30 people discussions, followed by a wonderful dinner in great locations in these markets. Hope you can join us. Master B2B's forum is free for practitioners. It is an online-only community. People are asking questions every day there, interacting, answering each other's questions. Free. Only practitioners. Go to masterb2b.com forum and you can apply for membership in the forum. Hope to see you there. And as a reminder, all of our Friday 15 or Friday 20 or Friday 25 episodes are available in podcast format on Google, Apple, Spotify, or on our website, or whatever your favorite podcast platform is. So, folks, thanks for joining us again for Friday 15. We will see you next week for another exciting episode. Thanks for joining us. See you, Andy.
See you guys then. Yep. See you then.